little recap on Kamryn, the girl born with cerebral palsy from a traumatic birth who is nonverbal. And originally she came to me, now this is a second session I'm discussing, but she came to me because her parents have had to take time off of work for the last 5 months because she has had vomiting unexplained. She's had hospital stays and all these things with no resolution. So she came to me. So you're gonna have to watch the whole thing to find out how she's doing. But anyway, so she actually came to my clinic this time instead of home, and she seemed to enjoy it, which was helpful because it kind of calmed her down. And with Kamryn, well, with everybody, basically, I have to send light through to calm down the electrical system first, because really the best analogy is when our electrical system is firing off like this, it's almost like muddy water inside, energetically, the density, whatever's going on in there, it's thick. And once it clears, then I'm shown what I need to be shown. So with Kamryn, my first thing also is to gain her trust, right? So I close my eyes and I'm talking to her, back and forth, telling her she's safe and thank you for trusting me. And, so a lot's going on that I'm not saying out loud because I'm speaking to Kamryn, and Kamryn's also answering me. And so in this session, her personality really came out, and I was laughing my head off. So was she. And then also her mother was in the room with her friend. And anyway, even at one point, Kamryn said, if she could, she would get up and she would do the snaps and one hand on her hip. She's just a firecracker. So anyway, so light comes through my hands. I know this now for a fact. So kind of in, if you can imagine a circle and just light blasting through. So that's how I calm down the electrical system with anybody. But with Kamryn, I do that and I quickly see that light's not really able to make it past her throat right here. And I asked Mom, did she actually have a trachea? Because I'm trying to decipher, right, still what's physical, real, what Western medicine could point to, and what's energetic, because it doesn't really matter, again, because the effect is really the same, which is astounding, but it's true. So Mom says, no, she didn't have a trachea. Okay, great. So it's energetic, which for me is better news because we can deal with it. So I begin sort of gently because, with every hand movement, Kamryn has a reaction because she has such severe PTSD. So I'm gently and also still, gaining her trust, and I keep telling her, calm down, you're safe, let's just breathe together. And I got her to start taking some deep breaths with me, which is amazing because she doesn't really oxygenate, and so she began doing that and calming down, and her hands kind of would go to her side a little more, and she'd smile. And also I was getting very clear information that she needs to really tell her throat to open, because she starts gagging, and the flap in her throat that I mentioned last time, it just closes, and then she starts suffocating, and then she starts gagging, or she opens and closes her mouth kind of rapidly, trying to, I guess, get air. Anyway, so I said, you have to tell your mind, you have to tell your body, command it to do what you need it to do, connect to your throat, tell it open, and then also stick your tongue out, to force it open, and these different tools, which really helped her after the first session. And so she began doing these things and sharing some other personal stuff with me, and obviously nonverbal. And so finally, once I got all kind of soften this up, I could start, getting light through here, and then they started showing me, what was going on in her stomach, and that there's no real energetic pathway, really. There's no flow here to here, from here to here. And so something else I've recently, in the last few months, been shown by Spirit is that, if I put my fingers in spots where I'm guided to do, just like this, that whatever needs to come through, whether it's light or electricity or whatever it is, will come through my fingertips. So I began placing my fingers here, because they told me bring it from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. And when I was doing that, Kamryn started smiling. And Gina, who was in the room, who's actually experienced my work, which is a whole another video, was asking Kamryn, you feel that, don't you? Do you feel that in your legs? And Kamryn will blink once for yes, or she'll go like that for no, sometimes both. And anyway, so she was telling Gina, yes, she could feel it. So, and then they told me an analogy, which is sad, but at least we're getting this information, that if you could think of taking the most amount of terror that you can think of and putting it in a bottle, like outrageous terror, and then corking the bottle, the bottle is Kamryn's body, and that is what's trapped in her body, is this level of terror. And from the birth, and then also experiencing suffocating, and we could talk for hours about why. But so they had me also, have my hand on her gut and her neck and things like this, but then they brought me back to her throat. And it makes me want to, because they put the feeling in my body during sessions, and now that I'm talking about it, it's like, remember this, like they're cueing me to talk about this, which is, it went back to her throat, and I started more pulling like this, like, and the analogy was like, think about somebody with super long hair never cleaning their drain for like 30 years, how gross that is, and just that's what's trapped in here. And so I was pulling, and Kamryn then began to sort of, her arms went to her side, and she kind of started getting sleepy and relaxing, and which was so wonderful to see, obviously. So the mom asked me, Kamryn's mom said, or maybe Gina asked, does she, because here she's been vomiting, right? So the question was asked, while I had my hands on her stomach now, like, does she really, is it nausea? Does she actually feel nausea before she vomits? So I tuned in and I asked, and then I was shown, no. I said, no, it's air. It's air in her stomach. And her mom said, that's crazy, because she pulled this pump or this mechanism out of her purse to say, she has to actually plug it in there, because she's tube fed, and she attaches this apparatus to let the air out of her stomach. So she said, so they mentioned perhaps, doing that more often throughout the day also, along with the other things that Kamryn was told to do. And so that was kind of astounding. And so I should just, I guess, cut to the important part, which is that Kamryn went 12 days with no vomiting. And then on the 13th day, she vomited for 3 days, and then I was able to see her again. So what we know about that, then, it tells us that, because I never tell people, you have to come every week, or I wait until that information comes. I say, let's see how you do, because this is a commitment. We all need to kind of commit to ourselves and be diligent about making it through. And I'm confident that Kamryn is going to continue to feel better and better and better. We've done a third session, and tons more really cool information came through in that third session. So I'm kind of curious about something, because we've been videotaping these sessions, and I'm wondering, you know, if anyone has interest. Would anyone be interested in actually seeing some footage of the live session, like maybe even the whole thing, right? That's a commitment, because it's like 45 minutes. But I'm curious if that's something that people would like to watch. Thank you.